Hey, what's up, everybody? It is your boy Brant, aka Midnight Sky from Aftershock Wrestling Entertainment Podcast here, talking about night one of WrestleMania 36. WrestleMania. It is WrestleMania time, and it is not the show that we expected to have this year. WrestleMania, 35 years in the making, debuted in 1985, and we've seen all kinds of things happen at WrestleMania, but this year, for the first time ever, because of the global pandemic that we are all facing and dealing with, we have a WrestleMania unlike no other, too big for one night, as they say, and no audience. So very interesting. A huge stacked card split into two nights. A lot of matches took place on night one last night, so we're going to jump into this. The way I'm going to do this is just kind of run down what the matches were and then kind of go into each one of them. But if you are new to the channel, you can check us out at the Allcast and theallcast.com. Aftershock Wrestling Entertainment. We do wrestling coverage, obviously, and we're a new channel. We're just starting to branch out and do more coverage, and we're soon going to be doing an audio version, compiling a bunch of different wrestling programs and things like that. So stay tuned for that, but definitely subscribe to the channel. But I'll get into all that later. Let's get into WrestleMania 36, night one of two. So on the kickoff show, we had one match. We had Drew Gulak versus Cesaro. Following that, the main show, once it began, we had, let's see, how many? 9 matches, I believe. 8 or 9 matches. We had the Kabuki Warriors defending the women's tag team titles against Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. We had Elias facing off against King Corbin. Becky Lynch defending the Raw women's title against Shayna Baszler, the Queen of Spades. Sami Zayn defending the Intercontinental title against Daniel Bryan. Kofi Kingston, Jimmy Uso, and John Morrison representing their respective tag teams in a triple threat ladder match for the Smackdown Tag Team Championships. Kevin Owens facing Seth Rollins, the Monday Night Messiah, in a grudge match. It's been building up for months. Goldberg defending the Universal title against Braun Strowman. We'll talk about that. And, of course, The Undertaker, the Phenom, versus AJ Styles, the Phenomenal One, in a Boneyard match. So let's go into these. Drew Gulak and Cesaro. It was kind of the precursor to the match later on in the evening with Sami Zayn and Daniel Bryan. They're both kind of the cornermen of those competitors. So they faced off, and Cesaro won. Cesaro won in about under 5 minutes, I think it was. So he technically won the first match of WrestleMania 36, even though it was on the kickoff show. But did it set the stage for that Intercontinental title match? We will see when we get to that. It was a fine match. Nothing special about that one. It was just a solid wrestling match. Really cool move by Cesaro when he did the airplane spin with Drew on his shoulders, and he didn't use his arms at all. His arms were down at his side. That was kind of cool. I've never seen it done before. So getting into the actual main show, we had women's tag team titles kicking off the show with the Kabuki Warriors defending against Bliss Cross Applesauce, right? And this was a really good match. We've seen this feud building up, especially kind of heating up the past couple of weeks with Alexa facing off against Asuka. And this was no different. The cool thing was Nikki Cross kind of shined in this match because Alexa was taken out pretty early. She was kept out of the match. She kept getting knocked down and couldn't get back up. And for most of the match, she was on the floor, not on the apron to be tagged in. And Nikki was kind of having to fend off both Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane, and taking everything they've got and surviving and kicking out and thriving to the point where she finally delivers her finisher, I guess it was, this spinning neckbreaker suplex thing, and then tagging in Alexa, who finally got back up on the apron and delivered Twisted Bliss for the win as your new women's tag team champions, Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. Congratulations to them. I thought Nikki, again, this was some of the best that I've ever seen her. I thought she was really on her game, and all of them were great, right? Alexa wasn't just, she was present. She wasn't. She didn't disappear completely, and she wasn't just laying on the floor the whole match. She did throw some offense in there. She at the beginning of the match there was a little playful stuff with her and Kyrie. Kyrie kind of calling her little bow in her hair cute, and then Alexa slaps the taste out of her mouth and things like that. So that went down, but ultimately, Bliss Cross Applesauce takes the victory and the titles back to SmackDown. So moving on from there, we had King Corbin come to the ring with a little song of his own, playing the harmonica terribly, and we weren't sure if Elias was going to show up. And with everything going on and all the change-ups to different matches and things like that, I was really not sure if Elias was going to be there or not. I didn't know if it was something, because I don't read the dirt sheets. I don't pay attention to all that crap. I just don't study that stuff. I like to go in fresh, surprised. If I hear something, I get spoiled on something naturally, organically, that's fine, but I don't go looking for it because I like the surprise element of things. I don't like to know the end before the beginning. I don't go to the end of the book and read it before I read the book. Why do that? Why ruin it? So anyway, that's not what I do. So I didn't know. I didn't know if Elias was going to show up or not, but thankfully Elias did show up. Took out Corbin with a guitar before their match even started. And again, this was a solid match. It was a back and forth. Ultimately, Baron Corbin tried to cheat to win, as he normally does, and Elias, pulled a trick out of his playbook and used that against him and cheated to win himself. So that was kind of cool. It was okay. Probably the least exciting match on the main show of all of them for me, but it was still fine. So if the least exciting match on the entire night was still a pretty good match, I think you're doing okay, right? So next up, which is one I was excited for, but honestly a little disappointed in the way it ended. Becky Lynch defending the Raw Women's title against Shayna Baszler. Now, this had been built up. You had the bite on the neck. You got Shayna Baszler, the training partner of Ronda Rousey, who Becky Lynch beat last WrestleMania, and all this stuff going in story-wise. You really built this up to make it personal, and overall, it was a good match. You had both of them pulling out submissions. You had Shayna doing a version of the disarmer on Becky, the Carafina. I don't know how to pronounce the clutch. The rear naked choke. She did it through the ropes and all this stuff. They went outside the ring. They were throwing each other into the announcing table, into the side of the ring. It was a brutal, physical, heavy match, right? It was good until the end. Shayna Baszler had the clutch on Becky, and she rolls backwards and just, instead of letting it go, she gets pinned. And it's like, okay, after all this build-up, you don't get a definitive, solid, clear win. You get oh, I'm rolling up while you have me in this move, and you forgot to let go, so I got one over on you kind of pin by Becky Lynch, the man who's supposed to be better than everybody else. And that was a little disappointing. It was a cheap victory. Okay? It was a cheap victory, and I was looking for something a little bit better. The match itself was good. It was really good. Just that ending. I wanted something more, a little more. That's okay, though. Sami Zayn, Daniel Bryan. These two, unpopular opinion right here. These two are not my favorite. I think they're both a little overrated, honestly. I've never really been a huge fan of either one of them. Not to discount their in-ring skills, though. They're both fantastic, and honestly, Sami Zayn is really good on the mic. So I'm not going to discount anything. They're just not my favorite. That's all. This match was fine. Sami was running most of the match, trying to get away, and Daniel finally catches up with them, and they start fighting, and Sami kind of wins clean. Daniel comes off the top rope, gets nailed with a Luva kick in midair, and Sami gets the pin and escapes with that title. Now, granted, it was very defensive wrestling, but still, he pulled it out, and he didn't have to cheat to win. Granted, there's interference with Nakamura and Cesaro, Drew trying to keep Sami from running away, all that kind of stuff. But ultimately, it was Sami with a clean pin over Daniel Bryan, which probably does not set well with Daniel. And it's kind of cool though that they're still building this fall from grace kind of thing. But Drew, this whole thing was about Drew's guidance, trying to help Daniel Bryan fix the holes in his game, and it looks like the holes are still there. So I don't know how effective that ended up being. So anyway, moving on to the SmackDown Tag Team titles. Kofi Kingston, Jimmy Uso, and John Morrison, again, representing their respective teams of the New Day, of the Usos, and Miz and Morrison, obviously. By the way, I gotta say the Miz and Morrison rap video that we saw on the kickoff, oh my goodness, hilarious. It was fun, I gotta admit. And speaking of video packages, I totally glazed right over this before I get into this match. The opening package for WrestleMania was mind-blowing. Honestly, one of the best packages they've ever done. Normally, I skip through a lot of the video intros just because it's like, okay, it's the same kind of thing. But this time they changed it up. They had fun with it. They did this whole thing where you had I don't know who was actually speaking, but it was a British person coming in, because it's the whole Pirates of the Caribbean kind of thing, coming in and saying, wait, we can't start from the end. Let's go back to the beginning. And they go to all this, and you got Roman Reigns in front of unicorns and different things like that. And it's like, oh, no, wait, that's not right. And it was comical. It was fun. It was, it was kind of breathtaking, the imagery that they actually used when they actually got into it, and they did the whole inner world, all that kind of stuff, that classic movie opening line and all this stuff. It was really good. It was a really solid package, and it really set the tone for what this WrestleMania is going to be like. So I appreciated that. I will give credit where credit is due every single time, and credit was definitely due there. So getting into this triple threat match for the SmackDown Tag Team titles, I tweeted out. I was live tweeting during this event on the Allcast. There, you can find that on Twitter, and you can check out those tweets. But I tweeted that I don't think it's possible for these three to have a bad match. These three are exceptionally talented as far as wrestling in general, but especially in the WWE. These guys are go-tos especially for these kinds of matches, these high-flying, heavy spot-heavy matches. These guys are go-tos, and they did not disappoint this time either. They were fantastic. There were so many spots with the ladders, so many corkscrew moves on top of the ladder. I don't even know, super kick as you're coming down, trying to jump off of a ladder, all kinds of stuff. And the way it ended, I'm skipping ahead, but there was so much action. I can't even call all of it. It was breathtaking. As many chances as these guys took, as close as some of them came to actually hitting their heads on ladders as they came down, and came down hard. But it was good. It was good, and any one of them could have won. But the way it ended, it was kind of clever. I was like, at first I was like, really? And then I thought about it more. I digested it as time went on. I'm like, that was actually pretty fun. You had all three of them you had two ladders, and then you had another ladder bridge, and you had all three of them on these two ladders, and all three of them get a hold of the thing that is holding the titles, and they pull it off the hook, and it's still got the title strapped to it. And they all three pull it off at the same time, so they're all three holding it and trying to tug of war it away. And they both headbutt John Morrison. John Morrison falls, landing on the bridge ladder, but as he falls, he grabs the titles and pulls them off of the thing, and he's laying there. And as he's falling, you shoot to Kofi and Jimmy looking down at him, both still holding the hook, and just looking at him like, really? Did that just happen? It was hilarious. And it's like, okay, Miz and Morrison retain, but it was a great ending. It was a great finish to a match where it's like any one of them could have won and it would have been fine. You could have accepted it, but it was like this way. It's like nobody really won. It's unsettled, and the champions are still the champions. It was good. It was good. It was so good. One of the best matches of the night. So moving on from that, we have Seth Rollins, the Monday Night Messiah, against Kevin Owens. And this has been a feud that has been building for months. Kevin Owens has been the main target of Seth Rollins. and vice versa. And building up to this WrestleMania match, Seth Rollins, the new Mr. WrestleMania after Shawn Michaels, he has WrestleMania moments out the wazoo. Kevin Owens, none, right? So they go into this, and that's the challenge. Kevin Owens has to rise above and put Seth Rollins in his place, right? So they start off, it's back and forth for a while, but eventually Seth Rollins gets the upper hand and he starts taking Kevin Owens out. And he gets the best of Kevin Owens for a while. Kevin takes some hard shots on the apron, gets knocked on his back on the apron a few times, the Falcon Arrow on the apron, and eventually when Kevin Owens won't stay down and he starts to fight back, Seth Rollins pulls out the ring bell and knocks him over the head, gets himself disqualified. And it's like, when that happened, I'm like, no, don't let it end like this. After all this build up and all this thing about Kevin Owens never having a WrestleMania moment, this is how you're going to end it. And Seth Rollins saying, I'm a god at WrestleMania, which, come on, please. And then you end it like that, and it's like Kevin Owens said what I was feeling. He picked up the mic and said, no, it ain't ending like that. Let's finish this. No DQ. Everything goes. Let's do it. And the match restarts. And Seth Rollins comes back and he resumes beating the crap out of Kevin Owens with chairs, with everything he could find. He's just beating the crap out of Kevin Owens. But Kevin Owens pulls out the ring bell, knocks Seth Rollins senseless a couple times, hits him with a stunner, and pins him. But before he pins him and wins, let's talk about the moment. Kevin Owens has his WrestleMania moment. There's this big WrestleMania sign. This right here. It is hanging on the set, and it is huge. And Kevin Owens, with Seth Rollins prone on the announcer table, Kevin Owens climbs this thing and says, "How's this for a WrestleMania moment?" And then leaps off that thing and just crashes through Seth Rollins, and then throws him in and does the stunner and makes the pinfall. And talk about a WrestleMania moment on a show where you have no audience, where it's just different. It's in the Performance Center. It's a different WrestleMania, but he still gets that moment. And hats off to Kevin Owens, because that was fantastic. It was really good. Next up, we have the Universal Championship, which I think should have been the main event. I think the Universal title and the WWE title should be the main events. They're the championships. That's the way I feel about it. That's the way I've always felt about it. I don't understand why other matches get the top billing. But we'll talk about that in a minute. Goldberg defending the Universal Championship, supposed to be against Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns actually put out a video. And man, you know what? I was going to show all of these things as I was going. I totally forgot to do them. So I'm just going to run through them real quick. These were all the matches from tonight. And now we're up to this one. Universal Championship. Goldberg versus Braun Strowman. Like I was saying, it was supposed to be Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns put out a video talking about it, and he said basically, people don't know what's going on in my life. You don't know why I pulled out, but I made the right decision for my family. We all know that Roman Reigns recently came back from a bout with leukemia, and obviously his immune system isn't as strong as a lot of people's, and he's being careful with all the people in his life, all the people he's around. He made the right decision for himself. He made it to Orlando, he said, but he had to pull out for the safety of himself and his family, and I respect that completely. I'm disappointed because I wanted to see Goldberg versus Roman Reigns, but we got something different, and we got a quick match. Goldberg and Braun Strowman both basically pulling out their one go-to move that puts their opponents down. Goldberg with 3 spears that Strowman kicks out of. Strowman 3 power slams, shoulder slams, and he pins Goldberg. Braun Strowman pins Goldberg, and Braun Strowman finally is your Universal Champion. So there you go. It was what it should have been, this match. If Roman Reigns had been in there, it would have been a battle of spears, and who knows who would have won. But it is what it is, and I thought they did well with what they had to work with. So congrats to Braun Strowman. So that brings us to the final match of the night, which is your main event, the Boneyard match between the Phenom and the Phenomenal One, Undertaker versus AJ Styles. And this was an interesting match, let me tell you. Now, I knew it was going to be on location somewhere. I knew it was going to be different. I didn't expect it to be what it was. It was kind of like, if you remember when the Shield fought the Wyatts on their compound or whatever, it was that kind of thing. You had the smoky kind of movie style camera. It wasn't like a live action camera. It was more like it was a certain filter that they put over. I don't know anything about filming and production and all that stuff, but I know there's different lenses and different effects you do, and it wasn't it wasn't the live kind of camera. It was that kind of whatever. I don't know what you call it. Somebody more informed about that kind of stuff can leave a comment below if you like. But either way, it was, and you had this eerie music playing, and AJ pulls up in the hearse and comes out of sits up in the coffin and all this stuff, and kind of playing it up, and Dead Man comes on his bike, and this is the American Bad A version of the Undertaker comes in and basically kicks AJ Styles' butt for a while. You got this open grave dug there and all this stuff, and you got this whole eerie music playing through the whole thing, and you got their jaw jacking, mouthing each other back and forth, just really playing this up. It's like something out of a movie, and that's literally what it was. It was like a mini movie, this whole match. It wasn't a match. It was a fight in a mini movie scene. It was kind of cool. And Undertaker is just like beating the crap out of AJ Styles, right? And then, of course, Anderson and Gallows show up, and not only Anderson and Gallows, but a whole bunch of masked, hooded people. And at first, I was like, "Oh, are these Undertaker's druids?" No, they're there to take out Undertaker. But Undertaker, of course, is the Undertaker and takes out everybody, and then takes out Anderson and Gallows. All the while, AJ Styles has been like just knocked into the grave, right? And he comes in and he crashes a tombstone or something over Undertaker's back, and he starts beating the crap out of Undertaker, and Undertaker's like, at one point he's like wheezing and he can't get up, and he's like, but he still tells AJ to come on. Eventually they're fighting on the roof of this building, and AJ gets taken out up there, and then he gets taken over to the grave, and he's like begging the Undertaker at this point. He's like, I'm sorry. Please don't bury me. Please don't bury me, man. Please don't bury me. Please don't bury me. And he's just like, and Undertaker's just like, please don't bury you. What's the matter, son? He's just like, but you said I was too old. You said I couldn't go. You brought this on yourself, man. Then he hugs him. He brings him close. He's like, you fought well, man. You brought this fight to me like a lot of people couldn't, and I'm not gonna bury him, man. It's okay. And he's like patting him, comforting him and everything. And it was just like beautiful. And he lets him go, and he walks a couple of steps away, and AJ's just kind of like, kind of swaying there. And then Undertaker just turns around and kicks him straight in the face. He falls into the grave. He buries him alive. Fire goes off. His symbol shines. All this stuff. It's just crazy. And he rides off as WrestleMania goes off for the night. It was pretty cool, I gotta admit. I want to give them props for being creative and going outside the box and doing something a little bit different, given the circumstances, given what they had to work with, and not just making a standard. And I also want to appreciate, because on the weekly programming for the past few weeks, where they've had no audience, I don't know. It's been a lot of replaying old matches from old pay-per-views and talking segments and just a handful of matches. And when you do the commentaries, like really comical, and it didn't feel like they were taking it seriously at all. But I want to appreciate that WrestleMania, they did take it seriously, and all these matches, it was like, if there had been an audience there or not, it was the same kind of vibe with the matches themselves. The matches were on fire. And then with this Boneyard match, you don't have this audience, so why not do something cool? Why not do something different? And they did. They made a movie, and it was pretty fun. The one thing I didn't like about it was that AJ kind of looked like a punk at the end, just like, please don't bury me, please, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, and it just made him look a little bit weak. And he also had 10 other people helping him beat up the Undertaker, and he still lost. Uh, it is what it is. He was like literally and figuratively buried a little bit, but that's okay. It's the Undertaker at WrestleMania, and that distinction to beat Undertaker at WrestleMania is left for very few people, so it's understandable. But in a way, AJ Styles still got a WrestleMania moment. He got buried alive. So it is what it is. But I thought overall it was a fun night. It was better than I expected it to be. I was really nervous about this going in, and my broadcast partner, Chris Falcon, who does the other show with me, he's totally against this stuff right now, and he's not feeling it. He's just not a fan of it. And we've been going back and forth, and it's like, dude, I'm still watching. I'm still a fan. It's WrestleMania. I can't not watch WrestleMania, right? So I was skeptical though. I was a little worried, little hesitant, but I went in kind of with just tried to meter my expectations and try to go in with an open mind. And I was pleasantly surprised. I thought they did a fantastic job with the circumstances, and the performers were fantastic. They ramped up their mouthing to each other in the ring, so it added to the vocalization, it added to the atmosphere and the ambiance a little bit more than we had been getting. So I appreciate that. They all stepped up their game and delivered a top-notch show, and it's got me excited for tomorrow night because we got all kinds of cool matches. Let me run those down for you. What's coming up tomorrow night on the pre-show, the kickoff, we have Liv Morgan versus Natalya. Then on the main show, we have Otis versus Dolph Ziggler, which on SmackDown this past Friday, the truth was revealed. And I was wondering when that was going to come into play, because we've seen these little graphics pop up over SmackDown for weeks now. And I didn't know what it was or who it was. We kind of got a glimpse. We got this hooded figure. We saw their hand. Pushing the buttons on the computer side. I'm curious to see where this whole thing goes as the weeks progress and we learn who this person is that's revealing the truth. But the truth came out about Ziggler and crap, I totally forgot her name. Mandy's partner, tag team partner. Man, what is her name? I totally am blanking on Mandy Rose's friend, partner. What is her name? Can't believe I've forgotten her name. Anyway, I apologize. I completely forgotten her name for some reason. Fire and Desire, right? See, that's gonna totally bug the crap out of me now. But anyway, we're gonna see that come to a head finally. John Cena taking on the Fiend in a Firefly Funhouse match. This is gonna be interesting. Aleister Black taking on the almighty Bobby Lashley. Edge and Orton. That's the one I'm really excited about, seeing Edge back and fighting Orton, one of the classic feuds in recent eras. This is going to be a last man standing match. This is going to be phenomenal. Can't wait to see that. We've got the Street Profits defending the Raw Tag Team titles against Angel Garza and Austin Theory, who gets to step up because Andrade can't be there. So that's for the Raw Tag Team titles. We got Charlotte challenging Rhea Ripley for the NXT Women's Championship. That's going to be exciting. First time ever NXT title has been on WrestleMania. That's going to be a match. I think that one might steal the show. You have the five-way SmackDown Women's title match with Bayley defending against Sasha Banks, Tamina, Lacey Evans, and Naomi. And then, of course, you have the world title, the WWE World title, Brock Lesnar defending against Drew McIntyre, the Scottish psychopath. And I really hope Drew wins. I'm pulling for him. I want to see another major title change hands, and I want to see Drew McIntyre take that title from Brock Lesnar. Deliver 5 Claymore kicks to his head. I don't care, whatever. But I'm looking forward to it now. I'm hyped for it, right? that's one thing I didn't mention about tonight. Mojo Rawley is the new 24/7 champion, defeating Truth, who was trying to hide with Gronk and Rawley, and Rawley's kind of stole it away from Gronk. We'll see if Gronk steals it away or Truth gets it back tomorrow night. We'll see what happens. But that is your night one for WrestleMania 36. Hope you enjoyed this. Please, excuse me, I'm getting parched. I've been talking a lot. You can hit that notification bell and hit that subscribe button. Let me take that out there so you can actually see the bell above my head there. So you will get more content from us here at Aftershock Wrestling Entertainment. We will be doing more coverage of WWE as well as other companies, so stay tuned for that. You can also hit that like button down there to let us know that you like this video, and check us out over on social over here at the Allcast, and check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course YouTube. TheAllcast.com down there will take you to this YouTube channel. And Comic Frontline is our sister channel, so go check that out if you're a comic book fan. We do a weekly live show there as well. So thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this little recap of night one of WrestleMania 36, and I will see you real soon for my thoughts on night two. Take care. Bye.